So what you're looking at right now is the Phoenix Controls Sentry fume hood display. So going back a few years, we had an initiative to try to make our products stickier with the customer. And the problem with having a company that makes products that require no maintenance is once the products get installed, most of the time the customers forget what's in their facility. So for us to try to get back in front of the customer, we've been developing products that are smarter, that have more features built into it for end users that they want to use and they want to learn how to use in their day-to-day basis. So this Sentry fume hood display was kind of based on the size and functionality similar to a smartphone. So in the top portion of the screen up here, we actually have a touch screen built into it. So all the functionality, the menu and things like that are all based on a touch screen. Down here in the bottom, again, safety being paramount for our products, we realize that when you're using fume hood displays or you're using fume hoods, you're probably going to have a glove on, and not all touchscreens react when you're wearing a glove. So we made the safety features, the fume hood exhaust, which is the emergency exhaust if you had a spill, and the mute function to be tactile buttons. So in the case that I had a spill and I needed to emergency exhaust my fume hood, I don't have to take my glove off to push the button. I guarantee that it's always going to work. So when I push that button, it's going to go to its emergency exhaust flow. The other thing that we did that was a vast improvement over what we had before is I'm giving the user a lot more information. So you can see here when I pushed emergency exhaust, the top portion of the screen turned red and it actually says emergency exhaust. Down here in this little information pane, it also says emergency exhaust, and it gives you a calculated face velocity where the sash is left right now. So it says emergency exhaust, face velocity 250 feet per minute. Now the reason we did this is if a customer has a chemist or somebody inside of the lab that has a question about why their fume hood has a high flow, most times they would have to call a maintenance guy. He would have to go into the building automation system to be able to pull up that point from this fume hood monitor and say, yeah, that's an emergency exhaust. Now the user can very clearly see this fume hood is in emergency exhaust. I need to take it out of emergency exhaust so that it will return to its normal flow. And then as the face velocity drops back down to normal, you can very clearly see that on the screen. So we added this energy meter on the screen to basically show when the fume hood is at its normal operation or when it's in setback. It has a relative range on there for your minimum to your maximum airflow, as well as the fact that it displays the face velocity, or it can display the flow as well. The other nice feature about these is you can also change the screen so it's just an active or an inactive alarm or normal condition. So the screen would just be green or red if it was normal or an alarm, or you can have the face velocity or the flow displayed on the screen. Some additional nice features that we added to this: if you go into the menu, you can add messages onto the screen. So there's some pre-built messages in here, or you can pick custom message. But when I select one of these messages and click OK, it can put a message on the screen. So if I'm an occupant of a wet chemistry lab and I decide that I don't want anybody to use this fume hood because I need to run a reaction for a couple of hours, I can actually put something like this on the screen where it'll say study in progress, or I can put do not use call and put my extension for my phone number on there, things like that. Again, trying to make this product more useful for the end user. The other feature that we added to this that's a real nice to have for an end-use customer is the fact that we added a stopwatch timer in here. So a lot of times we would see these kitchen egg timers on the fume hood below the fume hood monitor where people would want to be timing a reaction. It beeps and they know they need to go check their fume hood. So realizing that people use that on a day-to-day basis, we decided to put that functionality into our fume hood display. So we have the ability to put a timer on here. You can hit start and go back out to your main screen, and it'll actually show the timer running right here. It'll have this little yellow bar will count down. When it's done, it'll actually show timer done. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and clear that. But again, that's another feature that we added to this to make it a little bit more user-friendly. This information pane down here that now says normal mode will actually give the user a lot more information than we ever gave them as well. So if I open the sash on this and this fume hood goes into setback mode, it'll actually say setback mode or normal mode. Because this is a network device, we can actually map things like outside air temperature or room temperature to the fume hood display. That information pane will also give you some alarm information as well. So in the case that I leave my sash open and walk away from my fume hood, so let me go ahead and do that. So I open my sash up, and currently I'm not standing in front of my fume hood. That information pane will actually generate an alarm called an energy waste alarm, which will get translated back to the building automation system. And basically what it's telling them is currently there is nobody occupying this fume hood and the sash has been left open. Now you can see that that face velocity dropped down to 60. Again, per ASHRAE standards, it's safe to have 60 feet per minute on an unoccupied fume hood and still contain the chemicals. However, I am wasting energy. So I'm sending a signal back through the Phoenix integration system back up to the building automation, telling them that I'm wasting energy on this particular fume hood. Now they can trend that and actually send it back to that employee and say, look, out of an 8-hour day when you're in the building, 5 hours out of the day you left your fume hood open and nobody was in front of that fume hood, so this is the amount of money that you're wasting. Again, a lot of these people are very green and very forward thinking, yet they don't realize that they're throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year away by leaving their sash open and walking away from it. So the nice thing about this, again, it says click to acknowledge alarm. When I click on it, it's actually going to say energy waste close sash. So it's going to give me some information to try to correct my actions, as well as telling me when it happened. The other nice thing about this particular fume hood display, in addition to the energy waste alarm, it also has this feature called night energy waste alert. Basically what that means is if I shut off the lights in the room and the fume hood is unoccupied, then the sash being left open is wasting energy as well. So just like the energy waste alert when the sash is left open but nobody's occupying the hood, if I shut the lights off in the room, I know that the room is most likely not occupied. So if I shut the lights off in this room, and on my fume hood, now it's not only going to give me an energy waste alert, but it's also going to trigger a night waste energy alarm. And basically what that is saying is I left my sash open, I shut all the lights off and went home, and again, just like the standard energy waste alarm, I can trend this. I can send the information back up through the building automation system and actually try to change the habits of the users of the fume hood. So those are just some of the features of the new Sentry fume hood display. Just like the previous monitor that I used on the other wet chemistry lab with the smoke in it, this one also has the ability to go into hibernation mode. It's a little bit different method than the other one, but if I go in through the menu and the admin menu, punch in my password, and go into hibernation mode, it'll say, do you want to hibernate the hood, yes or no? I push yes, it says press OK to proceed, waiting for hibernate operation, and now you can see that it clearly shows the fume hood is in hibernation. Again, if I move my sash open, within a second that fume hood is going to respond and it's going to come out of hibernation mode and go back into its normal operation. So same functionality, plus a lot more inside this monitor versus what we had in the past.